Hi, I'm Chris. This is the third day of my hunger strike as a protest against universal credit. Just to be brief, universal credit is a benefit that in the UK that came out, we are told, to simplify the welfare benefit process. It's about instead of having to apply for 5 benefits, people just need to apply for 1, and it's all encapsulated in this 1 benefit. What could be simpler than that? Surely that has to be a good thing. However, in implementing it, the government has slipped a number of nasties under the radar. The reason that I'm hunger striking is because of the fact that people, when they apply for universal credit, they have to wait 42 days before they get any money whatsoever. 42 days. Now, can you imagine what it's like living for 42 days with no money whatsoever? Yet you'll say that there may be crisis loans available, and that's true. In some cases there are. But these are crisis loans that they have to pay back from their pittance of a benefit later down the line, and very few people are made aware of this when they're applying. The other thing that we are making the most vulnerable people in our society even more vulnerable. Think about it. You're getting people to, well, what would you do? You'd go to a loan shark, would you? Payday loans, 1,500% interest rates. You know, the people, desperate people are seeking desperate remedies to their situation. It's truly awful what's going on. A number of people have objected to my method of protest. They think that a hunger strike is not the best way to get my views across, to get to hone people's minds on this subject. And I disagree. That this is something I felt I could do, and I felt that it could become quite high profile. One piece that kind of sums up what folk are saying against me was well put by one person on Twitter. They said they agree with everything I said about universal credit, but they can't support anyone choosing to starve and weaken themselves when there are people who have no choice. When there are people actually starving because of universal credit, it seems crass and indulgent to starve yourself as a gimmick, however good the intention. So I suppose what I want to show is I want to show that I'm thinking of these people who are going through hell, but more to the point, I want other people to focus on what these folk are going through. I couldn't sit by and do nothing. That was my main thing. I felt like I'm in a position where I can make a lot of noise, and here I am making a lot of noise. The thing that jumps out for me is the phrase "bad things happen when good people do nothing," and I think it's essential to have that at the forefront of your mind. It's all well and good saying these bastards are doing this and these bastards are doing that. If we are doing nothing in response, then we're allowing it to happen. I'm asking people to get in touch with their MPs, their councillors, and just to put their protests across and suggest that this benefit should be halted until they've sorted it out and it's not anywhere near as punitive. 42 days with no money. 42 days. A woman got in touch with me and she told me that she'd had 12 weeks with no money. 12 weeks. So 42 days is 6 weeks. 12 weeks no money. I just thought that was shocking. And she has 4 children. She was saying that that if it hadn't been for her friends and family, then she would have been buggered. And there are other people in that situation. There are people panicking. There are people. The other thing that sort of jumps out is I'm a mental health campaigner. I want to make a noise for people with mental ill health, and I think it's important that we get that story across. And last week, Mind wrote a report saying that 300,000 people with mental health problems lost their jobs last year because of their mental health problems. 300,000 people. So that's 300,000 people having to wait 42 days when you've got a mental health problem. So that, imagine you're feeling unwell and somebody's saying you need to jump through all these hoops. You need to apply for this benefit. You need to apply for this benefit in this certain way. There was a report from the rollout in Leeds that 25% of the people who'd applied for universal credit had been sanctioned because they'd done it wrong, or they'd not turned up to a meeting. So that's 25% of people who have had their benefits stopped for anything between 3 days and 3 years. This phrases like the workhouse springs to mind. You'll say that maybe people should go to food banks. It's great that there are food banks. Jacob Rees-Mogg tells us that food banks are great. However, they're only available to you 3 times a year. So that's a luxury you can ill afford to overuse, because it's only there 3 times a year. So to sort of respond to these people who sort of are questioning my methods, I just want to emphasise that bad things happen when good people do nothing. And Pastor Niemöller kind of put that best, I think, with his famous poem. If you don't know, please listen. First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out, for I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. And we need to speak out for our most vulnerable people, because they aren't other people, they're us. They are you and me. I have been in that situation. I know what it is like. I've gone through these terrible processes. I was going to speak a little bit about what it's like to be on hunger strike, and I need to sort of walk a tightrope between telling people it's fine, it's nothing wrong with me, this is easy peasy, and also saying that this is really hard, because I want to say it's fine because people who love me don't want me to go through pain, but it's hard, it's difficult, and I want you, I'd be delighted if people could join me, people who don't have medical problems, and people could join me for a day, maybe 2, to have a little bit of empathy as to what it's like, and then tell that story to other people and share the story. So being on hunger strike, it's not a great deal of fun, because we live by routines. We have breakfast, dinner, lunch, tea, 11s, supper, and 33 other meals throughout the day. But so those habits have gone. There are little vacuums where that happens. So it just that kind of feels weird. And those are times of the day when my body says, shouldn't we be eating something? And I have to break the bad news. But it's, you know, it's doable. This is day 3. Apparently, I'm going into ketosis today, which isn't anything horrific. It means my body has finally sprung the fact that nothing's coming in through my mouth, so it's going to start taking stuff from my fat deposits. My friend Derek kindly said that this is obviously something I've been building up to. If anybody sees Derek, you know, feel free to give him a slap. But as I say, this isn't about me. This is about universal credit. This is about talking about universal credit and how it isn't fit for purpose, how it's punitive. I'd be interested to hear how there are systems, what systems are around the world. I've already heard that in Norway, they have a very similar system of 42 days with no money. And that just kind of feels more than a coincidence. You know, why choose 42 days? The other thing that we're looking for in the future, that we're going to have a budget in November, well, in 3 weeks, I think, there's already rumblings that they're going to reduce this 28 days, this 42 days down to 28. Now, yeah, 28 days without food, I think, is every bit as much fun as 42 days without food. You know, these are shocking times, and for that to be seen as some kind of concession, I think is ludicrous. When I was younger, it was seen as you know, not having not having enough money was having very low income on benefits was punishment enough, without having to punish people further with sanctions. People with mental health problems are hugely overrepresented in the sanctioning system. The sanctioning system, which can take people's benefits off them for anything between 3 days and 3 years, which is, you know, in our country, wealthy country, is shocking. I don't have the figures after 2015, but in 2015, 30,000 people with mental health problems were sanctioned for not turning up, filling out a form wrong, whatever. I've been sanctioned, and it's shit. And you know, I think it's important that we get people to share those stories. I want to hear from everybody. This is apolitical. This isn't a political thing. This is a humanitarian thing. I think we can all work together. It doesn't have to be like this. That's really all I've got to say just now. But join me tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm going to be talking about what happens when you apply for benefits with a mental health problem, and what the process is, and what that feels like, and why it shouldn't be. Thanks for listening, watching, and I'll be around tomorrow. Comment all you like. Thanks very much. Bye just now.